welcome back to the Apatros review. This episode, Pulse, the 2006 remake. Hi there, welcome back to the Apatros review. I'm your host, Mila Sipka, and join me as I take you on a trip through the 1200 DVDs I have in my collection. Not all in one go, of course. Now, by the way, the last episode, there was a special episode I did for tips and facts about the coronavirus. I hope you've been paying attention to that, because that's pretty much very important. Anyway, in this episode, we look at the film Pulse, which is a 2006 remake of a Japanese horror film called Cairo. It was directed by Jim Sonzero and was one of the films released by Dimension Films, and it was one of the spate of Asian remakes that came out, or remakes of Asian ghost stories that came out during the 2000s. Now, in this film, this is the story. Matty Weber, a psych student in Ohio, visits her hacker boyfriend Josh Ockman in his apartment, only for he to hang himself in front of her. A couple of days later, Matty and her friends are being sent messages on the internet chat room by Josh. Thinking that whoever bought Josh's computer is playing a sick prank, Matty tracks down new owner, hacker Dexter McCarthy, but is surprised to learn that he hasn't even turned on the computer yet. At the same time, mysteriously ghostly figures are appearing around the city, sucking out the souls of their human victims and causing the victims' bodies to disintegrate into ash or driving them to commit suicide. Teaming up with Dexter to investigate mysterious creatures, Matty learns that Josh had hacked into an experimental telecom project involving brand new ultra broadband frequencies and accidentally opened a portal to a ghost dimension, which the deadly spirits used to invade our world. As I've mentioned before, this was part of a spate of remakes that Hollywood had mounted after the surprise success of the remake of the Japanese film Ring, and which was a fad that lasted from 2002 all the way up until at least 2014, before dying around that time. Most of these remakes of Asian horror films tend to downplay the eerie spookiness the original films had, resulting in wholly unnecessary remakes that don't do anything new to the formula of the source material, instead being just an excuse to milk the original films for all the money they can get. In the case of Pulse, this was just a PG-13 horror film that was designed for young millennials to sink their teeth into, starring the latest young talent from various television shows, purely to appeal to the young demographic, as well as diluting the eeriness of the original film, in this case the 2001 Japanese ghost story Cairo, or in English Pulse, by offbeat director Kiyoshi Kurosawa, which was probably the biggest hit that Kurosawa had ever had given its fringe market, to cottonwool the young viewers into avoiding nasty nightmares and allowing them to return to the cinema or to buy the DVD as many times as they like. In order to wrap their heads around the original's cryptic storyline, and anyone who's seen the original Pulse knows that it's a very hard film to understand, because that's what Kiyoshi Kurosawa was like. And I'll review the remake in the future. Anyway, Wes Craven wrote a script that explains pretty much every aspect of the story that Kurosawa failed to explain properly, thus eliminating all the loose ends to give a remarkable efficiency. As for the remake itself, Pulse is pretty much a waste of time and money, and it's one of the worst remakes of the J-horror trend. But having said that, it's not a terrible film technically, just average at best. It is definitely dull. Director Jim Sonzero, who had come from a commercials background, doesn't understand the basics of connecting all the dots to make a decent film. Instead, opted to use all of the then trendy editing tricks and cookie cutter pop-up effects, as well as putting constant false jumps that tends to irritate anybody who's been used to much more substantial filmmaking from the late 1990s onwards. All these superfluous pop-up effects and boneheaded editing choices have absolutely no effect on seasoned genre fans who wanted a meaty story, something that this remake only just manages to pull off thanks to Craven's skilled writing. And without the pathetically dull performances from the mostly uncast mediocre visual effects, which in retrospect are slightly better than the middling effects season 2 sequels of this remake generated. It's essentially a horror film going on autopilot, with the only decent performance coming from a 5-minute cameo from Brad Dourif as a nutty coffee shop customer who launches into a brief tirade against the technology that was causing the ghostly invasion. As for the gore report, there's no gore scene here, or for anybody who has been soul-sucked by the phantoms and ends up being driven to kill themselves. Some pretty shocking deaths occur here, like the guy who jumps off a tall building, and the heroine's boyfriend hanging himself with a cable, or otherwise disintegrating to ash. This is as far as the film's rather pathetic PG-13 lets it go. As for nudity, there's no nudity scene here, which is not surprising given the PG-13 rating. There is some sexual dialogue and talk heard for. I've decided to give it Pulse a C, a 4 out of 10, effectively labeling this an average film. It is better written and more coherent than the Kiyoshi Kurosawa original, but doesn't have the intense spookiness and inherent sadness the original had. Just another dull Hollywood remake of a Japanese horror film. I'm kind of glad they ran out of these before the beginning of the 2010s. Although recently there was another reboot of The Grudge. Good grief, man. That fucking thing won't die. Anyway, as for the DVD, Pulse was issued in Region 4 DVD by Roadshow Entertainment, or for later pressings were handled by Real DVD, using the entire content of the Roadshow disc and only changing the logo on the DVD cover and picture disc. And it has pretty much a decent supplement to it, matching excellent picture and sound quality. First off, the film's color palette has been deliberately made pale to match the nature of the story, so expect a blue filter and some occasional bursts of red, and red utility tape that is the only way to block out the phantoms. While the soundtrack is pretty solid on the technical side of things. Although I had a problem with some of the dullness of the dialogue and the rather stupid audio static sound effect that I heard occasionally, like the opening credits montage, the subtitles are well written and accurate enough. As for the supplement, there are three featurettes: the behind the scenes, the visual effects behind the scenes, and a featurette explains the specific range of the paranormal that the film covers, which is basically about the dead communicating through computers and stuff. Personally, even though I do believe in the supernatural, but I don't believe in this kind of spectral communications. It's, I mean, it's possible, but it just doesn't make any sense. It's a bit like those A&E shows, like the American History Channel shows that go into fringe science and some really stupid theories like ancient astronauts. And there are a few films that I'll cover that have that ancient astronauts bullshit to them. Anyway, there are also some deleted and alternate scenes, including alternate take on the fate of one of the surviving characters. And there's not one, but two audio commentaries from the crew. The film's theatrical trailer also runs off the package. So there you have it, Pulse, the 2006 remake. In a few episodes' time, I will do the second installment of the D Spectrum, which covers all the worst films I've done. I've actually ended up getting more films this time than last time. Last time I only had like 8 films. This time it's 13, roughly. And I mean, I'm gonna have to split into two parts because 13 films to cover. It's not gonna be easy for one episode. Anyway, hope you're surviving coronavirus. That stuff really has been kicking the shit out of the world, and and hope hope I hope you and your family are safe. And as for those who are sick, I hope you keep yourselves isolated because this stuff is really nasty. This virus. Anyway, that's it for this review.